The Book of True Life, Teaching 19 of 366. The Master teaches. The example of Jesus through his death on the cross. Divine Revelations, Mexico, from 1866 to 1950. The Lord says, O humanity, ease your mind, agitated by the vicissitudes and the unfortunate disappointments in life. How much you struggle trying to free yourselves from the darkness in which you live, in spite of finding yourselves in the era of light. Great is your struggle, and that is why you are weary. I have called you especially so that you may rest for a few moments, because you will have to proceed toward the fulfillment of your mission, which you have barely begun. From time to time, I have come to remove the veils of my secret sanctuary in accordance with your evolution, for only he who travels this path will be able to reach me. I am the Master who seeks humanity in all the bypaths to show them the right way. My word comes as a sword of light to fight against the ignorance and disbelief of men. I come to manifest myself before those who have denied my existence, to ask them, who created the universe with its diversity of worlds, barely visible to you? O humanity, who, in your deviation from the truth, have had the audacity to believe that the idea of the Creator has been a simple invention of the human mind. How can you imagine that an idea of the eternal and the infinite could come forth from your limited and insignificant mind? But also those come to me who say they love me, and I say to them, how can you say that you love me when you do everything contrary to what my law dictates? When you betray yourselves by manifesting in your deeds feelings contrary to your words? Right here, among these multitudes who listen to me, how many are there who say they are spiritualists, and still they are unaware of the power and the wisdom of spirituality, or the potencies and attributes of the Spirit? And with their deeds, they are denying my doctrine, which, like a radiant light, spiritually illuminates mankind. But my patience is infinite, to wait until you are transformed into my disciples. I will make you living torches, who, with their light, will carry to other people the original message that you received as a revelation through a human faculty. If men deny your testimony and contradict you, remind them that I had an appointment with humanity of this era, and which I have come to fulfill. Tell them that if I promised to return, it was because my work still was not finished, nor will it end until not a single sinner exists. It is written that if 99 sheep are in the fold and one is missing, I will seek that one. I want to manifest to you again the power of my love, converting the hardened hearts of mankind into apostles of my doctrine, beginning with these people, no less hard of heart than the rest. I have come to tell you to increase your knowledge with this new message that I have brought to you, so that you will unite it with my past revelations, until you manage to formulate within your mind the Book of Wisdom, in order to be worthy to give testimony of my truth and teach it to your brethren. You will be called agitators, but do not fear, because they also judged your master during that period for disturbing the peace, according to the opinion of men. Truly, I say to you, not only did I come to agitate the heart of a few men with my revelations, but also to arouse the spirit of all mankind with my word. In the same way, I have come to you during this period, in which my light will be manifested in different ways among men, and once again it will disturb them, some with joy, others with fear, and others with anger. But not one will remain unmoved once the hour arrives when my message is known. How weak you have been in calling for Christ, those of you who knew he would return. But now that you already have my revelation and my message, do not be weak, timid, or cold. Have I offended you by saying that you have a hardened heart? I have only told the truth, because in all the worlds, all the creatures comply with my law, and you do not heed my divine call. But do not fear, for no one has reached his goal yet. But I promise you that everyone will, for I am the promise of all the ages. I, the untiring one, who will never cease to teach you. You begin to dream of being carriers and apostles of the truth, but do not be hasty. Always take the light of your conscience as a guide. Otherwise, how will you manifest the truth when you have not even found it within yourselves? How will you demonstrate that you love me and love your brethren when you leave thorns and thistles along the path of your fellow men? The water of the fountain of life, which is my truth, is gentle, clear, and pleasing. But do not confuse it with water which you offer to the needy, for that is sometimes impure. Receive my blessing. May it be in you like a spring of overflowing water that will quench the great thirst that overwhelms you. May my blessing be like a balsam over your ailments, pains, and bitterness. May it lift to life those who are losing their strength along the path of their evolution. In order to help you in your elevation, I make possible that my peace be within the heart of the apostle of the third era, whom I receive in representation of mankind, and by his conduct I will bestow my charity. Today you listen to my voice through a human faculty, and again it states, love one another, just as you listened to the voice of the Lord through the lips of Jesus, when he taught you to love your fellow man as yourselves, in confirmation of the law which the people of Israel received through Moses in the first era. Moses was my spokesman during that period. He guided you to the gates of the promised land, but I did not allow him to enter it, for there you would have crowned him king. And truly, I say to you, his kingdom was also not of this world. The promised land was given to those people so that they would dwell there in peace and elevate their worship to the Father. In Jerusalem, that people erected the first temple to Jehovah, and in it was manifested the divine spirit. There he received the complaints or praises from the sons of those tribes. Upon the altar you placed the Ark of the Covenant, a symbol of your pledge with the Father, and before the tabernacle, kings and wise men bowed their heads. The priests in charge of the worship were at first filled with love, but then they allowed the gnawing worm of vanity and greed to penetrate their hearts, and turn them into hypocrites, false and profane. It was then when one prophet after another appeared, announcing the coming of the Messiah. These were rejected, ridiculed, and sacrificed by the people. Thus they prepared my return with their blood. Since every word emanating from God has to be fulfilled, the Messiah was born among mankind, and he came to teach you how to comply with the law of the Father and render worship to God loving and forgiving, filling the life of men with hope and light. I came as a shepherd to gather the sheep that the wolves had started to raid, and I guided them to the fold. Along my earthly passage, I taught men love and the fruits derived from it, which men called miracles. Those deeds inspired faith within the heart, and by means of it, I allowed them to behold the true path. Thousands and thousands of men were witnesses to my word and my deeds, but only 12 followed me closely. When the moment of my departure drew near, I said to them, "The feast of the Passover will be celebrated in Jerusalem. It is necessary for us to go there so that the prophecies will be fulfilled." Then I made my last recommendations to my disciples, engraving them in their spirit with the divine fire of my love. Toward Jerusalem I departed with my disciples. When I crossed the gate of the city, mounted upon a meek and gentle colt, the multitude, among whom were the sick that I had healed, the blind who could see again, the lame who were walking, and the sorrowful who were comforted and filled with hope, raised hymns and songs of praise and glory, because the promised Savior had finally arrived. No one was aware that during that Passover I would be the sacrificed lamb. As I passed by, and before the light of my gaze, their hearts were moved, the sick were healed, and from their bosom surged words of praise and gratitude toward the rabbi. Then the Pharisees approached and said to me, "Master, rebuke your disciples and these people in their chatter, for they disturb the peace of the city during the feast." To this I answered, "In truth, if these were silent, the very stones would cry out with joy." Those Pharisees left, but already their hearts, fearful and disturbed by the deeds which Jesus performed, were scheming betrayal. Thus I reached the portal of the temple, which at one time had been a sanctuary for the people of the Lord, and afterward was converted into a marketplace, from which I drove off its money changers. The heart and deeds of those who regarded themselves as ministers of the Lord and doctors of the law were being unveiled before the acts of Jesus. It was then when they sought to destroy him so as not to lose their power, which was threatened. One of my disciples, who had heard much of my word of love, which spoke of the kingdom of the Spirit, and had felt within his heart the caress and the love of his master, was, with his weakness and lack of faith in my promises, the door that was opened to allow the penetration of human wickedness which fell upon me. With how much hate those men shouted and urged the subject of Caesar to crucify me. But it was necessary for the Son of God to go through great ordeals in order for men to behold his humility, his love, and his power. The blood of that body was shed upon the earth, and the human lips that manifested the divine word in the world never ceased to speak of love and forgiveness up to the last moment upon the cross. And Christ was one with the Father, because the Word that became man in order to be heard in the world has always been in God. Years later, the city and that profaned temple were destroyed so that my word would be fulfilled. From all that, not one stone was left upon another. I had said that the Temple of Solomon, appearing to human eyes so splendid, great, and magnificent, I could destroy and construct it again in 3 days. Truly, I say to you, that men have not understood the spiritual meaning of those words, for I am not bound by time, since I am eternity. Behold me here during this third era, On the third day, laying the foundation of the true temple and building it within the spirit of men. Elijah was chosen to announce to you that the book of the 7 seals had been unfolded and that it was opened in the 6th seal. My word has come filled with light to kindle your faith, so that you will not fall into idolatry anymore, and allow me to establish my temple within your heart. Behold, all man-made works are destroyed, while the works of the Spirit are immortal. Those who are lost will be found, those who are confused will be illuminated, and everyone will find the path which will lead them toward the promised land. If, here on earth, you did not want to recognize me, nor allowed me to gather you as a hen gathers her brood under her wings, I will gather you under my cloak of peace for an eternity beyond this world. O my people, I have reminded you of my life among you, for the days draw near for the commemoration of the last week that I lived among humanity. During those days, you feel as if a message from the infinite descends upon you. Everything that you see seems to speak of me. The sun, the fields, the cities, the men. You feel as if everything speaks to you of the Master. It must be that the memory makes you feel my presence anew, and I deliver to you my message of love again. If, during these days, your eyes wish to weep, let them. If your heart is moved with love, let it be so. Christ, who was destroyed by a multitude, is the same one who today comes to manifest himself to you. For it was his body that man destroyed, and not the word spoken through him. What death could halt my steps, or what tomb could retain me? Nevertheless, unintentionally and unconsciously, you have buried the truth within your heart, whose essence is of the Master. You have converted that body that you have into a tomb for your spirit. Allow the Spirit to lift the tombstone of your heart, so that it will elevate itself, filled with light toward a true life. Then I will easily explain what is difficult for you to understand. Christ and the divine love are the same Father. Jesus was the perfect man who manifested the message of God. He was the highest expression of spirituality. For that reason, he is called the Divine Master. Oh, beloved disciples, when you think of the deeds that I performed in the world, you regard yourselves as very small and incapable of imitating me. When you meditate over the times which have transpired since then, you realize that you have evolved very little spiritually. There are moments in which you feel a longing and a need to develop your spiritual gifts, to receive my messages directly, as well as penetrating into the future and resolve, by means of the attributes of the Spirit, the conflicts, the trials, and the chaos that surround you among mankind. How you wish to see with the spiritual vision, and you will do so. But it will be when you discover that by allowing yourselves to be guided by the light of your conscience, which illuminates your spirit, you will better understand the revelations of the Lord. For the time being, study this message and record it, for the time will come when you no longer hear this word, and then only the writings will remain. When the books are formed, which will be extended throughout the world, I want my word to be printed without any blemish, as pure as it originated from me. If, in that manner, you allow it to reach your books, a light will emerge from it which will illuminate mankind, and its essence will be felt and understood by all men. My message of this period will also be denied and contested. Some will say there was no purpose for my manifestation, but do not fear, for my work of the second era was also debated, denied, ridiculed, and nevertheless, heart by heart and spirit by spirit, they have recognized and appreciated that passion which I lived among you. Yes, my people, know that there have been and still are those who say, "What relation has the suffering of Jesus with our salvation? His pain cannot give us the glory." And the Spirit of Truth says, "I was among men through Jesus, like those fragrant plants which perfume the hands of the one who wrested the life from them." That cross which you gave me, and which I accepted, was proof of my love for you, and also proof that you would be saved with my example. Why do you believe that if I had known my sacrifice would be useless, would I have offered it to you? Do you not remember that I said that in the work of the Father not one seed is lost? When the side of the Master was opened, I wanted you to see the door opening, so that all would dwell in eternity. And the first to behold that door was the centurion who thrust his spear into the body of Jesus. My love is like a tree which leaves a scent in the hands of the woodcutter who cuts it. Each drop of blood from that body was spread over this humanity, forgiving everyone and perfuming their life with the divine essence of my teachings. But if it would seem to this humanity, in its blindness, that sacrifice was not enough toward its salvation, here you have my word again, not the word of man, who has not been able to explain that message, but my word, which comes to teach you the immortal essence of my doctrine and my deeds, a divine explanation by which men will know the spiritual value of that blood shed at Calvary for the love of mankind. I have come to reveal to you what the essence of that sacrifice is, for you are mine, just as I am yours. I have never regarded any creature as an enemy, for you are all my children. The word enemy profanes the lips of whoever pronounces it when it refers to a brother. The centurion, Longinus, pierced my side, and I shed upon him the blood which was light to his blind eyes. I want you to be like your master, so that I can rightfully call you my disciples. My heritage is of love and wisdom. It was Christ who came to you, and it is Christ who speaks to you at this moment. But do not try to separate me from God, nor to see me outside of him, for I am, and always have been, one with the Father. I have said to you that Christ is the divine love. Therefore, do not try to separate me from the Father. Do you believe him to be a father without love for his children? How do you perceive him? It is time that you recognize him. May no one be ashamed to call God the Creator the Father, for that is his true name. I have brought you the light again, so that you can analyze what you failed to understand before. If I revealed to your spirit, before I sent it to earth, that I would grant it a world of teachings, today I say that I am offering it a heaven of wisdom. Travel along this path of spirituality, and you will receive that heaven which I have mentioned. The wisdom of the Spirit is a light which will never be extinguished. I am the Master. I am the Christ who speaks to you through your conscience, in a manner that only I use to approach each one of you, which soothes while I speak to you. I am here, looking for beings apparently useless for a work of love. Those whom I know will serve me, because I have created them. I have come to avail myself of your spirit, your will, your heart, your mind, and while you reach the moment of your preparation and illumination, in which I can avail myself of you, converting you into my instruments, I leave you my teachings, so that you can learn the lesson of wisdom. Thus preparing you with my word, you may enter into these days of remembrance. Meditate, and meditate on that hour in which the earth protested against human ingratitude and the sky was darkened, but during which the Lamb of God did not protest. The gaze of the Master at Calvary was sad, but with it you were blessed. For those mobs he was to die, but he knew that soon he would be resurrected within each heart, when they would awaken to their faith. Those who go to Jerusalem say that in those lands there is an atmosphere which startles the spirit, and that even the light seems strange. Truly, I say to you, it is the voice of their conscience. It is the memories which disturb the heart. And even if Jesus died there, and mankind ceased to see him, Christ appears everywhere in essence, presence, and power. Multitudes of men and women head toward Jerusalem, and when they tread those places, it brings to their minds memories, sometimes sweet, other times bitter. They find everything saturated with the presence of Jesus. But why travel so much in search of material signs, when each one has my divine presence in his spirit, wherever he is? I wish that with this teaching you would all arise to convey a message of fraternity, of good news, of love, a greeting, a drop of balsam, an embrace of goodwill to all your brethren. I have come during this period, so you may behold from the earth, with the light of my lessons, the new Jerusalem, the white city promised to the Spirit, the one that my apostle John contemplated in his revelation. But if in the first Jerusalem the wickedness of man raised me upon a cross of torment, in the new city, which will be spiritual, the spirits will elevate me upon the altar of their love. My peace be with you.